What up, nerds? My name is NekoboyBlue. Thank you for tuning in today. We've got a bit of nebulous nonsense scheduled. Those of you who don't know what this game is, it is a game about space combat, fleet command. It's essentially Cold War warfare in sort of a space environment. So there's a lot of very fun, very technical plays that can go on with it. It's got a fleet editor, which means that most of the hulls here are fully customizable. Of course, as you can see, there's certain mounts that are a certain size. So you can only change so much about the game, but it rewards you for being creative and having a lot of fun with it. So we're going to be playing some public matches today. I'm hoping to get in 2, maybe 3 games. And yeah, I'm just going to take a look at the server browser. Oh, let me just turn on the game's audio here. Boost this up a little bit so it's actually audible. There we go. That should be audible for y'all. I hope it's not too loud. Nuxtaka's Twin, thank you for the follow. Yeah, we're just going to see if there's any lobbies that are currently filling up. See, currently, there's just a couple kicking back and forth. Got Switchbacks Pillars Forever with 1 person in there. So we're going to start up just with a game of Pillars Classic. All right. As you can see, I have a placeholder fleet here, which has 1,000,000 points. So not really going to be using that. I'm going to select some of my pre-made fleets. The 2 factions in the game, if I just go back here, we have the ANS and the OSP. ANS is the Alliance Navy, and OSP is the Outlying Systems Protectorate. So you've got asymmetrical faction warfare. Each faction has its own various strengths and or weaknesses. So we're going to load up a pair of Axford heavy cruisers. I've got the Axe Fraud and the Axe Evasion here. Yeah, we're just going to wait for the lobby to fill up then. So, open lobby, so if you want to join, feel free to hop on in, and yeah, good times to be had by all. You're running a main branch? Yes, this is on the main branch of the Nebulous servers. There is a test branch that has some new experimental toys, but I thought I'd just go with the main branch right now, since I think most people are still playing on it. While we wait for some people, I'm going to hop into the fleet editor here and show off some of the builds. So this is what I probably spent most of my time in Nebulous doing, editing the fleets. So as you can see here on our ship, I'm just going to go to the formation view. You can see I've got my own logo on the side and my own custom paint job. We've got a pair of 450 cannons, that's 450 millimeters, on the top and bottom of the ship. So note that it does factor in where the mounts are. Note that this angling is done in a specific way so that I can point the front of the ship at the enemy and still be able to fire all my guns while presenting a smaller target profile. The smaller cannons you see on the side are point defense. I've got a collection of Stonewall flak guns and a Defender, I believe it's a Defender Mark... It's a Mark 20 Defender, which is a kinetic, I think it's CWIS it's called. Basically, it spews a whole bunch of bullets at any missile that wants to come and spray me down. Yeah. As you can see, I can look at the internals of the ship. These orange parts here are occupied compartments and modules. So if I hover over different parts, I can see I have a spyglass radar, got the Mark 66 cannon on top, and the Mark 68 on the bottom. You can see that all these locations here are actually represented in-game by their hit location. So if I want to, say, knock out a ship's drive, I have to make sure that my guns are targeted towards the drive area. Interesting little bit of stuttering going on there, but never mind that. So yeah, you can customize your ship to your heart's content. You can literally put anything anywhere that it fits. Not to say that that's a good design decision all the time, but, well, it gives you the freedom to experiment and toy around with things. So, in this case, I've got a heavy focus on ammo elevators since they improve the reload time of my weapons. We look down at our ship's stats here, you can see that my cannons here, they have about half their regular reload time, so that's double the rate of fire. We've also got a little bit of accuracy coming from our gun plotting center. And on the back of our ship, I just put a little size 1 missile launcher in case some small ship wants to come by and try and poke me. So, that, we're going to return to the lobby. The 2 ships are fairly similar. The only difference is that one of them has a longer range radar than the other, so that I can search, but the shorter range radar is a little more accurate and can lock targets. So there. As you can see, we've got a lobby filling up here pretty well. Call of Show Fleets Nerds here, so what you can do is, in the pregame lobby, you can show off your fleet and tell your team what you're bringing, respectively. This is a good way for you to coordinate and plan appropriately. Sometimes you'll want to have a large collection of capital ships. Other times you might want a smaller collection of light ships. Let's take these frigates, for example. These are much smaller than my pairs of Axfords. And when we're playing the control mode, there's generally 5 points that you'll want to cap. In this case, Pillars is the kind of Dust 2 of Nebulous, so it's pretty popular and everyone has more or less figured out how to play it in their own respective way. Here we see Marlowe bringing a Axford similar to my own, but with a little bit different loadout. See, they've got a smaller main gun and a big old beam turret along with a much larger missile system. And then to complement that, they've got a couple of the smaller corvettes. In my case, I just elected to go with a pair of big guns, which I'm going to point at the enemy and hope for the best. So there. I'm hoping you can all hear all right. The game audio shouldn't be too loud. If it's a little quiet, I can always bump it up. And so speak up and chat if you want things done. We have 2 slots currently open on the OSP, so if anyone wants to hop in and play, you're more than welcome to. Take another quick little browse in the editor while we're waiting. So there is another degree of customization, so you can not only customize which ships you have in your fleet. Say I want to add a new ship, I'll select the blank hull. And you first select one of the currently 6 available hulls for the ANS. It is locked, you can't take a mixed collection of hulls, so if I was ANS I can't take the OSP hulls, and as OSP I can't take the ANS respectively. But as it currently stands, there's a nice variety. So you've got corvettes, frigates, destroyers, light and heavy cruisers, and lastly the Solomon-class battleship. A very big boat if there ever was one. I'm a step below that in the Axford heavy cruiser. Slow, heavily armored, and armed to take on multiple targets as situation dictates. Sometimes it's just a fun little fleet to play when you have to, well, just take 2 big ships and then throw a lot of bullet at the enemy. So there. If I wanted to add a new ship, I could say I want to add on a sprinter. First, I'd select it, and then you can see it's got an auto-generated name here. In this case, it's the NekoboyBlue. Got my fleet prefix installed. You can see it comes with a reactor, a drive, a radar, and a CIC, or Command and Control, I believe it's the acronym for. So if I wanted to fill up this, I could take a compartment here. Let's say I want to put in a large DC locker. I install that, and you'll notice the points cost goes up. The general way to play this game is balanced around 3,000 point fleets, squaring off against each other. Typically, it'll be a 4v4 or 5v5. So in this case, if I wanted to add this ship to my fleet, I would have to, say, remove my heavy cruiser and then spread my points out accordingly. Yeah. You can spread your points into various things, like let's say that I have some weapons, so I'll add a reinforced magazine here and a cannon on the bottom. There we go, Mark 64 cannon. This fires 250mm shells, so I'll just select some of those, and you can see they cost 1 point per 50 units. So I'll just quickly add on 100, and you'll see my points cost has gone up by about 2 points there, I believe. This gets me some AP shells, which are better at penetrating armor. You can see here the size, the roll, and the armor penetration. And we compare these to the high explosives, which have much less penetration, but a bit more component damage. And they explode in a radius. So if we wanted to, we would get a pair of these together, and then also add on some RPF rounds, which I believe are radio proximity fuse, yes, so these explode when they're nearby to enemy ships or missiles, which is a nice little dual purpose function. So we take a bunch of them like this. As you can see, we need more crew, so we're going to just quickly grab a berthing here to facilitate more crew being added. You can see my crew complement now jump up to 67. I'm only using 65 of them though, so it's all right. Then if I just wanted to add on a little bit more stuff, I'll get a point defense turret on either side and throw on some ammo. As you can see, the magazine has automatically updated for the weapons that I have mounted. So we just throw in a little bit of ammo. 8,000 rounds for a Corvette is pretty good. And yeah, you can see that that takes a little more crew, so we'll have to move some things around here. Let's get rid of our large DC locker and change this into the berthing instead. Naturally, since this is a larger compartment, I'm able to fit more crew members in there, so just move this to a small DC locker instead. And yeah, we now have more than enough crew to facilitate our operations. And this is now a cute little ship we could add onto our fleet if we so desired. Anyways, so this is the basics of customization, so you can just kind of kit your ship out with the respective things you want. A little tongue-tied there. If I wanted to buff the rate of fire, I could add on an ammo elevator, and now I've got a cute little Corvette with a gun. Look at that. But that being said, we're just going to stick with our pair of Axfords that we had pre-prepared, and hopefully the lobby fills up and we can get a match on. I'm just going to take a sip of water while I'm waiting. So, since we've got a full lobby now, we're going to ready up ourselves. Everyone has their respective fleets prepared, and we're going to hopefully get a good game out of this. I'm going to type ready up in the chat. You can see these people have a purple icon next to their name, which means that they're in the fleet editor like we just were. You have to pay attention when you're in a lobby because you don't want everyone to have to wait for you. See, you have unready as the red and ready as the green. So, they've just popped out and are readied up. Now we're just waiting on Shrouded Soul to hop out, and then we'll get a match on, and I'll show you how the game goes. See a couple people here are joining. Shrouded is unfortunately in the editor, and, well, sometimes you can just get caught up editing your fleet and not paying attention, and it happens to the best of us. But we'll just give them a little bit more time. We're not in any particular rush. There we go. Should be readied up in a second, and then we'll get the game on. Come on, you can do it. And ask them if they are ready. This can happen too. You hop out and you think you've hit the ready button, but you missed it by a pixel or two, and, well, there we go. And we see the countdown started now. We had a spectator, but they chose to leave, so instead you all get to watch this. Now, after a brief bit of loading, it'll kick us into a loading screen to see. Yep, there you go. Get a little preview of some of the maps in the background here. And we'll just wait for everyone else to load in, and then it'll kick us into the deploy screen. So, this is the tactical viewpoint. You can see that we have our deploy zone indicated by this dotted green line over here. Here's one of our friendly ships deploying in. So, I think that in this case, I'm going to deploy high for the C point here. It's good to coordinate. Say, call out my respective points. So as you can see, it is a 5 control point map. The OSP, our enemy, will be deploying over here, and they'll be capping the B and E points. And it's generally a nice little fight over the A point, or sometimes you get some fleets largely choosing to go around. This is, of course, a 3-dimensional game, so the up and down matters just as much as the left-right. So you have to kind of think on your toes. It is loosely realistic in the sense that you have to account for ships having some drift and weight to them. But at the same time, there is a maximum speed in space, which doesn't really make any sense, but it's good for gameplay purposes. I don't think anyone's really complaining about that. If we wanted to play a super realistic space combat game, well, they exist, and I don't find them very fun. It's more just trying to figure out the best way to throw a rock at somebody 3,000 kilometers away than anything interactive. Yeah, we can see we've got the different fleets here dropping in. So my Neko ships are coming in here. We see we've got the GSG fleet and the Octo fleet dropping in here and here, respectively. And you see a couple of ships kind of scattered about to capture various different points and work different angles. I'm just waiting for Shrouded to pick where all their ships are. If they take a while to deploy, it's possible that they have a large number of ships. You can have up to 10 ships in your fleet by default, but there is a mod that extends that if you want to, say, play in much larger games. As for right now, we're just playing vanilla Nebulous. Here you can see us deploying into the Pillars system, a shattered asteroid. You can see our ships deploying reversed, with their drive plumes decelerating them so that they enter the combat zone. So, we saw enemy drive flares, so we know that the enemy is somewhere over there. If I press space, I can swap into tactical view. I'm just going to put a simple little attack marker here. Say, 4 drive plumes. Get a rough sense. Anyways, now, since we see this is a collection of smaller ships, they can probably take the C point. We are going to move ourselves over to here using the move command. Give you a sense of what the order system in this game looks like. We right-click and bring up this menu, and we can order our ship to do different things, such as roll, set their headings, orbit positions, or in this case, I use the M hotkey to move. Now, we're already on search track, which means that somehow they have seen us, probably with a long-range search radar. That is one of the unique things the OSB has. They have the longest range radars in the game, although they are only directional in a cone. In our case, our radars are omnidirectional, emitted from these little panels here on the side of our ship. Now, it is worth noting that these can get blown off. The blue dotted lines here indicate the angles the radar panels are working at. If you don't have radar panels pointed at the enemy ship, you can't see them. Ah, here we go. Here we see the first enemy. This is a trap. So, we don't know very much about them yet, but our analysts are working hard to try and decipher what they are. So, for the moment, we're just going to point our ship roughly towards them, going into tactical view again so I can get a good pointer on them. And, hopefully, we will be able to... Oop! Okay, we see them launching a missile there by the looks of it. You saw a little pop-up flare. So, I'm going to guess that that is a decoy, just given the timing of it and the angling. So, going to go up and around here. You can see they have scouted us, so they have some information. As you analyze a track for a longer period of time, you can learn more about it. In this case, they see a heavy cruiser, which would be... I'm not sure where they see it, actually. Frigate fleet, dual heavy cruisers, so... In this case, they've just scouted us. Probably was an accident typing that in all chat, but oh well, it happens. So, since they know what I am and roughly where I am, they're probably not going to push up C point, so I feel pretty secure here. If we decide we want to, we can push around to the B point and take the fight to them. All that matters at the end of the day is that we get to 1,000 points before they do. You can see here they have 2 points versus our none yet, but we're capturing our own 2. So, you can have basically no combat effective ships, but as long as you get to 1,000 points before your enemy, you still win. So, sometimes it is worth it to make the sort of tactical sacrifice to blow up your ship, but actually capture points, because that can push you just over the edge to win. Yeah. In case you see us coming around the rock again, I'm going to press X to lock onto this target here. Ooh, there's quite a few of them. All right. Then we're going to fire some high explosive shells at them. In this case, my guns have a maximum effective range of about 11 kilometers. And I'm adjusting the heading on my ships here now. See me going to execute a couple more move orders to keep myself evasive. Trying to keep my nose towards the enemy. I don't know exactly what this is, but it's going for the point, so I'm hoping to get a lucky shot on it. Ideally, I'm trying to hit larger ships, which, ooh, I'm getting some good contacts there. All right. I'm going to mark this as priority since it is the one that I'm shooting at. Yeah. See my ships engaging and trading some fire here. Here's a volley of missiles, a size 2 volley, you can tell by the SGM-2. This is flying towards our very unfortunate sprinter, which is going to meet a grisly end in a second, I think. Oop, let's manage to shoot down one of them. 2. It might manage to make it through this. We will see. Oh, unfortunate. See, it's taken a lot of damage here. You can see a big smoke cloud come out of it and a lot of the components be crippled. But it is at the very least capping still, so it's alive. Now then, let's take a look at what we were doing here. So, we see plasma coming off this, so I'm going to fire on that. Plasma is a unique weapon in that it can strip the armor off of your ship, which renders my Axford's heavy armor not so effective. And a little bit troubling, too. See them trying to approach me here, moving at pace. Given the number of tracks, I'm going to assume that some of these are decoys. Just given that if they stacked up this much stuff, it would be a bit of an overcommitment to just capturing that point. Anyways, we'll just continue to move back and forth here, kind of keeping ourselves evasive for the moment.
Yes, Commander.
As you can see, the ships, they do have to account for which angle they are firing their thrusters on. It's much easier to move using the big thrusters on the back than the small maneuvering thrusters on the side.
We have secured Zone Atlas. Quiet. Commands on the line.
So we're going to just move ourselves a little more up here. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure that I believe that those are real, so I'm not going to shoot at them. Instead, we're going to shoot at that track there. That looks a little more realistic.
Yes, Commander.
Just going to maneuver ourselves again over here. And down. You can see me moving up and down on the vertical plane by holding control. So the ship then takes the best angle it can to move like that. Yep. Ah, so unfortunately they lost a player, which means that their fleet has now been inherited by somebody else. So because we're just starting the game, we're probably going to do a restart. So they're just throwing in the towel, it seems.
Yes, Commander.
As you can see, the battle is over for that, so a bit of a dull start, given that, well, it's unfortunate when somebody disconnects in the early game like this, but it's much nicer it happens now than any other time. Because we're just going to rehost, I'm not going to look at the fleets that they had, just to keep the kind of fairness going. Yeah. I'll just wait and see which server fills up next then. We see switchbacks, which was the server we were just on. I'm going to hop back in here, and people should rejoin in a second. Yeah. Gonna load up the 450 brothers again and wait for everyone to return. And take another sip of water while I'm waiting. It's fun. You can watch as the water bottle obscures my face. The tracking freak out. And yeah. Just wait for a little bit of a rehost here, and everything should work out. It is unfortunate when a disconnect like that happens, but, well, you never know. Sometimes somebody's power can go out, or wrong cable can be kicked under their desk or something like that. Server crash. I don't think it was a server crash, but at the same time, I'm not going to really dwell on it too long. We'll just wait and see, get the 8th player we had. And if we get someone new, we get someone new. So, 8th slot is open. If anyone wants to play, you are welcome to join. Ask just quickly who dropped, because it'd be good to know who we're missing. Neb is a fairly small game, so sometimes if somebody's dropped, you can check the Discord and they'll post, hey, my internet went out, or something along those lines, or they'll ask you to wait for them to rehost the game. So it's a nice sort of smaller community. Yeah, I'd say it's generally free of anyone who'd be unpleasant, as typically they don't find a good place in a small, tight-knit community like this. And Nebulous it's a bit of a learning plateau to figure out how everything works, but there's a lot of people who would like to get you into the game, so if you're ever thinking about trying it out, don't hesitate. The Discord is very friendly, and there's quite a few guides out there. I myself have been working on a couple of tutorials so that you can more easily get into the game and not feel completely overwhelmed, because if you were new and took a look at the tactical screen, you might kind of be wondering what exactly you're staring at. It's one of those games that's just a little bit strange to take in at first. It also has a very nice soundtrack. I'd like to commend them on that. So you can see them asking, anyone have a 6K? These are the magic words in Nebulous, which causes a new person to show up into the lobby as soon as somebody tries to load up a 6K fleet. 6K refers to the number of points. So in this case, it just means you have twice the amount of points that a regular person would. So essentially, you're working double duty. Having played a 6K, I can say it takes a little bit to get them all together. Oop, let me see. Got a new player, Orbit, here. You can tell by the rank next to them, the midshipman rank. So as you play more, you get a higher rank. These are relative to the sort of naval rankings that they've chosen for this. So you can see junior lieutenants. Myself, I'm a captain. We have Marlowe here, who's a commodore, which means they probably played about twice as much of the game as I have. I've not played a small amount of Neb. I think I've got about 600 or 700 hours logged into this game. So how much of that is actual gameplay and not just staring at the editor? Let's not talk about that. Kind of shares the bad habit I have with MechWarrior, which is staring at builds that I'm thinking of running, but end up just never doing. Take a look. I have a... That's the wrong key, but we can go with this anyways. If I go to the load fleet, you can see I've got a healthy collection of various ships that I'd thought about running. That's just for the ANS. There's also the starter fleet, so if you're just getting started with the game, there is a number of fleets that you can play there. Yeah. The starter fleets are generally pretty good. Some of them can do with a little bit of tweaking because they've just gone a little bit before they were updated, but overall, they are perfectly serviceable. And if you want to get the game with your buddies and just square off against each other in a little game, you can totally do that with starter fleets. Truthfully, the fleet of Axfords here is loosely based on one of the starter fleets, Task Force Oak, or TF Oak as its combat's abbreviation. Here you can see Orbit running Task Force Hemlock, which is one of the other starter fleets. Yeah. Gotta ask if everyone's ready. We'll go from there. So, see them talking a little bit about the angling tools. So, you saw me in the last match set my heading towards the enemy. This minimizes my forward profile and allows me to best utilize my armor. Slanted armor is, of course, more effective than flat armor when it comes to deflecting incoming fire. You can thank the good old, trigonometry, geometry. There's a whole equation about how sloped armor thickness goes through, but, well, just ask a War Thunder player. They'll explain it to you. And then probably complain about, stellinium bias or something in that game. That's another interesting title. Anyways, we're getting back into the game again, so let's hope that it goes a little bit better than last time. Although I did technically get credited a win for that, so I'm not really going to complain to anyone. Wins and losses don't really matter that much on most servers. There is one kind of competitive server called Killboard, but that's really just because people were like, we like a sort of, competitive ranked tryhard mode. I go there occasionally when I want to be sweaty, but most of the time I just hop into whatever lobby has the most players. So we're going to do our same plan again, going for C. Rinse and repeat of last time. Yeah, we're going to lock in our C deployment since it seemed like it worked pretty well, and go from there. I have had some success going for a D point to E point push before. Also been able to get a little bit sneaky going on the underside to try and get to E. Gets me the ability to kind of come around this rock and then shoot upwards on people. Yeah. In this case, though, we're just seeing the same sort of strategy. My sort of lane partner here, so to speak, is dropping in with their fleet onto C point. I'm here to provide heavy firepower against the stuff their frigates can't scratch, and they're there to guard me against these smaller ships that my 450 guns struggle to hit. It's not just a case of who has the biggest gun, it's also about who has the right guns for the job. Trying to shoot a very small shuttle or corvette with a 450 caliber weapon, you're very unlikely to hit it because it is moving very quickly and changes course rapidly. Plus, even if you do hit it, your shell is likely to overpenetrate, which means that you won't actually get it to go off inside the enemy ship. It will just blow a hole through the other side. This can lead to some ships looking like they are made of Swiss cheese, given that they are pockmarketed with a whole bunch of impact marks that didn't have the ability to detonate. But then they are also stupidly resilient because, well, it's just a loose sort of husk of a ship at that point. All right. We're going to have somebody get D. Anyone on D? I'm going to ask. We see here, we got a fleet deploying in here. Now, we should be able to securely capture the C point, and somebody can rotate over to the D point and capture it. Yeah. We'll see where it goes from there. You can see here a collection of large drive plumes deploying onto their E points. So we could call out, say, 3 large drive plumes on E.
Reporting.
So that means that they're probably running either the bulk freighters or the container liners. The Outlying Systems Protectorate, most of their fleet is a bunch of either old decommissioned ANS ships or retrofitted freighters with a whole bunch of cannons. Oh dear. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright. Just gonna ask them to rehost. This is rather unfortunate, really, because normally you get like one disconnect every couple of games, I guess, but in this case, it's just, well, yeah.
Send traffic.
That's sad to see. Oh well. Just all disconnect. We'll just wait for Shrouded to tap out, and then, yeah. Battle report over. We'll go back to the lobby once again. This does happen on occasion, but it's very rare to see it happen twice in a row, so we just had bad luck. Maybe it's the server, maybe it's the player's host connection. Oh well. Yeah. I think that, ooh, there's a 3K match on Nix's Eye, which is a bit bigger of a map. We're going to try seeing if we can't hop into this one. Yeah. As you can see, this is a 10-player map, so I'm going to go ahead and swap over to that same fleet, since I still do kind of want to play the Axfords. I rather enjoy them. Where did they go? Here they are. Yeah, you can see a different crowd here. We're just waiting for some more players now. Since that server seemed to either be having problems with some of the players or other issues, we're just going to hop to that. Show our fleet off here. Here we can see somebody taking a similar fleet to mine. In this case, they've got a slightly different loadout, but still a pair of Axfords, respectable as ever. For Dr. Lemon, we've got a pair of light cruisers sporting some smaller guns. These are smaller caliber than my 450s. They are 250 instead, meaning they deal a little less damage, but they can also hit smaller targets more reliably, and they tend to fire a bit faster. They've got a nice fleet here, a pair of light cruisers, which are very fast, agile ships, and very slim from the front. You can see their sort of side profile here. From the front, they are almost unhittable. To go along with that, they've got a little support frigate here with a bullseye radar. This lets you lock on to targets very effectively. And then they've got a blanket jammer. There is electronic warfare in the game. What you can't see, you can't shoot, so it's quite handy to have the enemy jammed. I don't have any jamming in my fleet. I'm just relying on the heavy firepower and armor, and hoping for the best. Here we see George Monster with a singular missile ship. This is a Keystone Destroyer with 5 vertical launch system 2s, meaning they have a lot of size 2 missiles. Now, I'm not sure exactly how effective that's going to be, because typically when you see a single missile ship, it's less effective than running multiple smaller missile ships, just because there's a finite number of missiles you can program and fire at once, depending on the hull. But if they find success with it, I'm not going to complain. So there. Now, Nix's Eye is a larger map than Pillars. It's also a bit more flat and donut-shaped, so there's typically a nice fight over the center rock, which you can kind of loosely see is outlined here. Then you see the outlying rocks that go around the outside, giving it the true donut shape. You get control points on each of those. It gives you kind of a 3-lane style of map, where there's a starting point that each team captures, and then they kind of split off from there. So if you're a big fan of 3-lane maps, then this is very good for you. But you're also not required to respect the lanes. You can instead choose to stack up wherever you want, sometimes setting yourself up in the sort of empty expanse of spaces where you can outrange your opponents with certain builds, such as railguns or mass drivers. Or you can play risky and try and hide under rocks and send indirect missile salvos around. Yeah. Model seems to be looking a little fuzzy, so I'm just going to quickly reset my camera. There we go. That looks a little better. Now then, back to Nebulous. Gonna ready ourselves up and go from there. Here we see Shrouded from the other game joining us today, so yeah. Hopefully we'll have a good match this time and nobody will drop. Let me just grab some more water. Don't worry, you can sink thousands of hours into the game. As you can see, Neb community kind of supportive. You'll be learning by watching the rest of the games. Yeah. Even if you are new to the game, don't feel too pressured. When people see that you're a midshipman or a lieutenant or something like that, they're generally understanding, saying, oh, hey, you're new to the game, welcome. They'll try and teach you how to play. Yeah. Overall, Neb is a fairly welcoming community, even if the game does take some time to learn. Say ready up. Yes. In this case, missiles. Learning missiles is something that takes a little bit of time. You have to, well, I say have to, but you can design your own missiles, and most people do. There's a whole rock, paper, scissors, lizard, shotgun, laser blaster, duct tape, torpedo kind of meta to it, which involves basically a bunch of counters that you learn in the game as time goes by. Most ships, though, you just slap enough point defense on the sides to insulate them from most missile attacks and call it good. Yeah. Missile warfare is a very complicated thing in the game, though. Although, even though it's complicated, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily... I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just something that you have to learn, much like the rest of Neb. It's kind of a step that you have to take. Figuring out guns and beams and the direct fire weapons, that's pretty easy to pick up and learn. Missiling is something that I'll maybe show off later if I get a chance. Assuming that nobody drops out from this game again. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the sort of roughly donut-shaped asteroid setup here. We have the A point high in the middle. C is our natural, and E is their natural. And then the side points here are the ones kind of fought over. So in this case, they're proposing a CDA push. I'm going to say okay to that. I'm going to run my Axfords up the mid here. So we're going to be taking the C point and then probably advancing to this rock here to try and skirmish with anyone going this way. I'm just going to call out my sort of initial plan here, a C deployment, and then onto the rock to fight for A. Yeah. OSP will typically cap points a little bit faster than the ANS, simply because the OSP shuttle happens to be a very fast ship. The ANS Corvette is equally swift, although one of them is just a little bit bulkier, and it's the Corvette, so there's a slight difference there. It's not usually enough to make a groundbreaking difference, but most of the time, the OSP will just throw a very cheap shuttle onto the A point, capture it, and then forces us to have to send one of our ships out to capture it back. I know this because this is what I do when I'm on the OSP side. Shuttles are wonderful. Anyways, I'm going to hit deploy to lock in our deployment here. Yeah. You see them calling out for track numbers, so if we press Q, can't do it in the deploy screen, but if we press Q, we can hook ourselves onto various tracks. Each track in the game has a 4-digit number to go with it, so we can filter between them very quickly. Let's say if I want to call out 4407 and say it's a container liner, that then gives info to my teams and they can capitalize on it and probably send missiles or try and flank it. Alternatively, I can call out something like, say, hey, 6209 is a decoy, don't shoot at it, and then we can mark it as such. So we see one big flare across that way. I'm going to hop into the tactical view and ping that real quick. Gonna signal here with a warning signal. One big flare. There we go. Next, we're going to move ourselves onto the C point here.
Course laid in.
And we're going to, using the set heading tool, this is all calculated with a sphere, which you see me drawing on here. It'll line up with the A point and set my heading as well. I'm also going to press H to set my heading here. You can see it goes through the rock, and I'm able to set it towards the A point. So yeah. With the heading set and our ships in motion, we're just going to rotate ourselves and hope for the best. Yeah. You see, they have intel. This means they have an intel center, which is a special module that various ships can mount. It takes up one of the compartments, which I'll showcase here. This is the damage control board, so I can see the status of my ship. You see all the radar panels and thrusters, my reactors and missile launchers, and all the other things. As I take fire, these will start turning different colors, from green to yellow to orange to red to gray, which is the knocked out state. So you can also see my damage control teams currently sitting idle, since they don't really have anything to do at the moment, since we're not on fire or taking incoming attacks. Yeah. But to my point, there is a compartment called an Intel Center, which analyzes all of the tracks in the battlefield. Normally, your command and control center, in this case I just have the one here, it will just analyze the things that your ship can locally see by its radar sphere, which is shown in this case by the blue dotted line. The maximum weapons range is this red dotted line here. You can kind of get a sense of the point defense sphere as well. This is the range there. Yeah. This is the best way to sort of see your represented radar bubbles. So you can see the various ships projecting out their radar ranges here, giving us actual vision. Think of it like revealing the fog of war. And in this case, we see ELINT tracks. So this means that one of these ships, let me see if I can't find out which one it is. Here it is. This is a Pinard module. So as all the ships in the game emit radar signatures, assuming that they have a radar, of course, the Pinard is kind of a sniffer tool, meaning that you can detect the enemy's radar emissions and get a rough vector on where they're at. So in this case, given the angle that this ship is positioned, we can guess that there's some ships up over here by this rock. So pretty safe to assume that they are somewhere over here or over here, so we'll have to play around that. In this case, we're thinking it is a mass driver array, which is a set of very long-range ships, which tend to, well, as the name might imply, throw mass at you.
We're reading you.
As it would turn out, getting hit by a brick hurts no matter what you are, so yeah, I would not recommend that. And mass driver ships, they have the ability to fire and not take return fire, because as we can see here with my weapons, let me see if it'll show on here. Oh, no, I'll have to issue a fire order. So you can see here, I have my target position. I have a maximum range of about 11 kilometers. So mass drivers have essentially got a range of, yes, I think technically their max range is like 18 kilometers, but that's a very far distance in Nebulous. For context, my radar, the spyglass, I can only see out to 11 kilometers. So, well, 11 and a half, technically. Trying to see stuff at that range. There's also the game of radar returns. So if you've got a very small ship, you'll likely not get picked up by radars as soon as they hit the bubble. Comparatively, if I've got, say, a very big battleship, then it'll detect pretty much instantly. Mass driver max range is 21 km. Thank you, Careful Crusader. I did not actually know that. I just always assumed their range is maximum of yes. Because typically, mass drivers will always be able to hit you if they've got line of fire.
Orders.
All right. Here we see a little missile being sent out here. Sometimes you'll just send out a singular missile like this. This is a size 2 hybrid, meaning that once it gets into engagement range and locks onto the enemy, it'll split off from its booster. Think of it kind of like a spaceship, or a conventional sort of space shuttle separation. Conventional rocket separation. So you see NASA send up a missile in various states. You can see the point defense fired off here, as there it goes. And there is the enemy. You see them with a small set of guns, rocket launchers, and a Grazer point defense turret. So, in this case, we have our little Corvette capping there. Yeah.
Ready.
So I'm not too worried about the cap. Oh, actually, that's not a Corvette at all. That is our missile ship. So, I'm just going to stay close to them because they don't have any point defense, making them very vulnerable to missiles. Actually, no, they have Auroras, so they can shoot down a little bit. Aurora is a laser defense system, so it kind of looks at the incoming missiles nastily and then fires a little green laser, which tends to carve through most of them. The downside to them is that they are very expensive, both in terms of power and point defense.
Aye, full burn. On it.
Alright, so we can see from our ELINT track here, again in this fleet, the enemy is set up somewhere roughly up there. They're probably waiting for us to move towards A point since they have captured it, and that will force us to do something. Yeah. See, this is a tactical reference point, something used by missile players. For example, if I was to fire one of my missiles, I'm not able to hook onto that track, sadly, because these are direct fire missiles. But if I had the cruise type, I could, say, order my ship to fire a missile to here, and then set its pathing to curve around. Oop. Here we see a incoming ship, so we're going to just quickly try and lock onto that, issuing the order as soon as they get into range. We'll just go ahead and set our heading as well. You can tell roughly what something is by the speed of it, and sometimes you can also hear the sounds. So, in this case, can't really get a good read on it, but it is moving decently swift. So, we're just going to wait and see what that is before firing. I'm going to set my weapons to tight fire order. So, when they're on free, if anything shoots at me, I will return fire. In this case, I don't quite want to tilt my hand yet, so I'm just going to have my gunners, well, just hold on for a second until we get a proper lock onto it.
Orders.
All right, now you can see we have got a lock, so that appears to be a line ship. Now, this could be a decoy line ship, or it could be a real one. Given that it just took a rail shot, yes, see, I was right. It is a decoy. The OSP is able to fire little shipping containers, which have a fake decoy signature. So, in this case, you just saw a bunch of railguns fire. That is because we have a fleet of destroyers over here acting as a rail array. The destroyer has a very powerful spinal gun, which can either be a beam turret or a railgun in this case. And we're going to look at any other ships around. So I'm going to attempt to do my job as a sort of frontline engagement fleet. I'm going to try and lock targets and give them good readings. So in this case, we see a bunch of ships just kind of advancing forward. It doesn't make any sense for these to be real ships. So instead, we're just going to lock onto them and let our little rails array take care of it. Yeah.
Aye, aye, full burn.
We're going to keep our ships relatively tight formation here, but spread out just a little bit as well. Still assuming that that is enemy rail, or mass driver array, rather. Now, you can see this one is just flying straight at us. It makes no sense for them to do this with a real ship, so, again, I'm just going to assume it is fake.
Ready.
Plus, given the angling and the fact that I can, see them, I'm going to go ahead and call this a dead ship and just cancel my lock.
Standing by.
This one, on the other hand, is going quite low. So I'm also going to say that that is a fake, and as you see, somebody else just marked it as killed. So,
ready.
Yep, here we go. There's a decoy container as well. We just managed to identify that. So.
Send traffic. Aye, aye, full burn.
All right. We're just going to get on top of this rock and then probably push towards the A point using that rock as cover. So.
Aye, aye, full burn.
Set our formation here, making sure I cancel my lock orders since there's no reason to lock these.
We're reading you.
We'll move about from there. See, we've got our little flanking fleet of light cruisers, very fast and agile ships. We've got a little corvette and a frigate to go along with them. The frigate, in this case, mounting a bullseye for locks and a blanket jammer for jamming. Jamming is very effective, and the ANS is generally regarded as having the best jammers.
Course laid in.
Each faction has its own respective strengths. In this case, we see a track listed in chat, though unfortunately we don't have a visual on it. We must have pulsed it for a quick second, so. And ask them to ping the location, please. Here we go. So, in case we see a ship over here, see how they are very closely hugging the rock. Now, once our intel center does its work, or rather our allies' intel center, we'll be able to identify exactly what that is. In this case, we see the decoy container. This is just a little sea-can that they've retrofitted with a bunch of false signature apparatus to make us think that it's an actual ship and hopefully waste fire on it, which we are not going to do, because we are smart.
Aye, aye,
debatably.
full burn. Standing by.
Alright, anyway, so we see the little sea warning where that ship that we'd scouted earlier was.
Receiving.
Yeah. We are just going to cruise for the point here.
Course laid in.
And we see a target here, so we're going to lock onto this one. And we're not going to shoot at it, but we are going to consider that that could be real.
Send traffic.
So we see our rail array here charging up and aligning itself. In this case, we'll watch as the rails fly by, and this may be real or may not be. Let's find out. Oop, we are detected by something, so I'm going to call that one a fake. And the size of it. But that, on the other hand, might be real. So.
Standing by. Standing by.
So in this case, oop, we're going to lock something else. What do we have here? All right, that's interesting.
Target lock.
See them attempting to call it there. So I'm going to assume that's more decoys here. So this, on the other hand, is a actual ship. You can see by the outline of it getting hit that it is not a little harmless vessel. But fortunately, our rail array has a bunch of light guns. So
send traffic.
Mark that as
We're
priority.
fire over here.
All right. Oop.
We're reading you.
We appear to be getting shot by something or other. There's a nasty little collection of ships, and one of these, whatever that is. In this case, this ship is stationary, so we are going to shoot at it because we can. I'm going to change my headings so that I face towards this way, because I'm guessing that these are large ships with big guns that want to get nasty. So,
on it.
going to move ourselves as best we can. Yes, this is a little clipper,
Send
so
traffic.
in case we're going to cancel our fire order since it's
Receiving.
just wasted on that.
Orders.
Please stop streaming so late. I'm sorry, Cyro. You happen to live in Europe, I think.
Can't shoot that far.
So,
Send traffic.
don't know exactly what this is, but,
Send traffic.
Oh, yep, I was right. That is a mass driver array, so we're going to need to get out of here real quick, because that's going to hurt a bunch. Ooh. So this is a Cello, which is the older version of the Axford, and a bulk freighter going along with it. So I'm going to signal the attack order here. Call a Rail Cello plus MD liner.
Power is send traffic. We're reading you. Reporting.
I'm just going to fire a quick little fly swatter missile into this thing
Receiving.
and go from there.
Aye, aye. Full burn.
You can see here that is a fake bulk freighter, so we're just going to mark that as killed since we don't need it. Go from there.
Receiving.
In this case, I'm going to order my ships to flank speed. And Canadian Cyro Mom. Is this Space Sim? Yes, this is Nebulous Fleet Command. It is a game of essentially Cold War era naval combat, but set in space. So yeah, it is a lot of fun. Now let's see if the magic space oil has come out of this. I don't see it yet, so we're just going to fire another missile into that.
Solution locked in.
And hopefully that'll kill it. Is this for smart people? Well, the game looks like this. So, maybe.
Send traffic.
Right, in this case, we are getting out of the line of fire, so looks pretty good. We're going to watch as this missile hits. And whack. There we go. Power is out.
Receiving.
Alrighty. So,
Ready.
that being said, we're going to move ourselves up and get into combat positions.
Aye, aye. Proceeding.
Yeah. That is a interesting ship here. Don't know exactly what you are, but I don't like it either. So, now, ideally, I'll be able to get in range of these ships and provide a lock for my rail fleet, but
Orders.
is this thing dead yet? I don't think it's dead yet, annoyingly, so we're going to fire one last fly swatter at it. Normally, you'll see a bunch of oil come out of the ship when it's actually dead, but in this case, we are just going to move up here and see what there is to see. Alright. That's a bulk freighter, supposedly. Oh, that is actually a bulk freighter. Okay, hello. We need to rapidly reposition ourselves.
Understood.
We're going to lock on and issue fire orders immediately on that.
We've got him now. Knock him out.
We mark this as a priority target. Is this multiplayer? Yes, we're currently in a 10-player 5v5 matchup, so yeah. I don't know exactly what you are, but I'm going to fire missiles regardless. And yeah, dive, dive, dive.
Receiving.
Oop.
We're taking
Uh-oh.
fire over here.
Ouch. So, in this case, I need to engage my maximum speed to get myself out of position, because I am getting hit in the broadside here, and this is painful. See this? A bunch of their point defense firing on it, and for the moment, we are kind of holding our own.
Executing.
Need to rapidly get close to this rock here,
Force laid in.
and yeah. I'm going to do what's called a little bit of re-maneuvering, so... Alright, what do we got here? Yeah.
Standing by. Channels open. Launching now.
You're going to fire on that, and we're going to go from
Aye,
there.
aye. Full burn.
See my ships hitting the rock. Fortunately, there is no collision damage in the game, but... Alright. This is a little mine layer shuttle, so it's rather annoying, but we're just going to fire some missiles at it and hope for the best. In this case, we got 2 good hits there, which I was actually kind of surprised at. I didn't think those were going to go through. Trying to hear for the alarms sounding, indicating the ship has been evacuated, but not hearing them, so instead, we're just going to keep firing.
Removing.
That's Callie how to multi-box? Yes. Well, unfortunately, I am not Callie, so I am Canadian. We can see a little bit of the space oil here, meaning that this ship is in fact dead, so we're going to mark it as such. And yeah, next we are going to attempt to engage the enemy, since we are in a good position to do so.
Coordinates locked in.
Yeah. In this case, we can see their bulk freighters attempting to run away from us, and we are going to lock on with our main guns and do our best to prevent them running.
Sensor interference.
The difference with the OSP is that they have a bunch of casemate cannons, which means that they don't have the turrets like we do. You can see I've lost the berthing here, but I don't really need it, so I'm not going to repair it.
Send traffic.
All Canada are one person? Yes, there's actually only one Canadian. It is my turn on the Canada, so I am working the shift today.
Acknowledged.
You see here, one advantage we can do is by attempting to flank them very well, we are able to get around the corner like so.
Repositioning.
And this lets us then more effectively engage on them. So, unlock this one and this one,
On the target.
and engage.
Standing by. Preparing to launch.
I'm going to assume that these are small shuttles of some sort, and not tango with them. Yep, that is a tugboat, so in this case, they have a very small 250mm gun, and this has a rocket launcher, which is something I do not want to have to deal with, so I'm going to throw more rockets at it.
Standing by. Missile reserves depleted.
We're going to temporarily retreat here, while we just wait for... Oop, oh dear. Right, the tug has point defense turrets. So in this case, we're going to see just how good our point defense system is. You can watch as our flak lights up, and we're going to take a bunch of missile hits here, unfortunately. So, luckily, they don't have enough damage to actually knock out a bunch of our systems, but it is going to cripple us for a little bit. You can see our various systems had gotten heavily beat there. So we're going to order repairs to execute here, and go from there. That being said, we're going to focus fire on that tug since it's the immediate target. Actually, we're going to not do that. We're going to fire on you. Hi. Yeah. Just going to quickly engage here. Priority target. You're going to move like so at speed. Those red dudes are like AI. Yeah, they have to get the angling. As you can see, their casemate guns need to rotate, so we're going to try and quickly rotate around ourselves. Going to set ourselves at flank speed and try and get some gunshots into them. Now, I'm not quite sure why, but there we go. Now we're able to lock. And hopefully I get a little bit of crossfire support here. Going to change our position a little bit. So in this case, this ship is having to rotate here, and I'm hoping that some allies will be in position to fire on it. In this case, we're going to drop down a little bit again. So, unfortunately, our repair teams are needing to fix the gun here with a restore, which we don't have. Well, we just got a couple of them, but anyways. Alright, we're going to issue weapons free on everything. And tell them, go get them, basically. 4 guns are active, and yeah. It's rather annoying, actually. Actually, I'm going to send you back to tight fire order so you don't accidentally try and shoot the wrong targets. The shuttles and tugs aren't really a threat to me, unlike the bulk freighter. But yeah.
Repositioning.
In this case, we're going to turn you off of flank speed. Ooh, hello.
Lock that target.
Okay. This is a rather awkward battle right here, given that they can see me and I can't really see them. That ship just disappeared. That's odd. So, we're going to get that cannon back online, ideally, and fire some shots. I don't know why I... Oh dear. More rockets. I thought they hadn't used all their rockets. That's rather annoying. Alright, so we're going to just keep that restore going, and... Ooh, actually, we're going to cancel that because I want to restore one of the large lockers here. Because then I can turn 1 restore into 2 restores. Yay. In this case, we're going to continue our maneuvering, and you see them trying to pummel me, but luckily I have a lot of flak here to fire off. Yeah, hopefully we get this set up right. You can see my shots putting some good damage into them here. One of their guns is looking like it's taken offline. And hopefully it'll stay that way. And we're trying to limit our exposure here by maneuvering around this rock as best we can. Yeah. These small caliber guns aren't really a threat, but... Nice face on my boat? Yes, these have my emblem, although I've been shot in the face here, unfortunately. Ouch. Alright, so we're going to attempt to maneuver around a little bit better. We are currently losing on points, so I'm hoping that my team takes the initiative while I'm brawling this fleet here. Yeah. You can see these launchers on the back contain decoys, so... In this case, let us see... Oh! 3ETC, thank you for the follow. I just saw that. There's a little bit going on at the moment right now, though. Alright. So you can see their small ships having little to no effect on my vessels are just going to, well, move away.
Ready.
We're going to fire on the one that is currently threatening us. I must have hit their magazine because they are not firing any, what are they called, cannons at us. Oh, you can see some allies coming in here with some nice missile strikes. That missile had decoys in it, which is nice because it seduces their point defense system.
Component back up.
2 versus 6. Yeah, I'm used to being outnumbered because these ships are very cheap. In this case, you can see I've got my pair of big heavy cruisers, and I'm getting support now from down low. So everyone's doing their own respective job, and there's certain builds. So you can see this one is trying to rotate to us, but is also taking a lot of damage. Just going to keep firing on it now as best we can. You see them moving very quickly, trying to evade all of those incoming missiles, but, well, those missiles are just going to punch right through. Bulk freighters don't have very much armor, but they are disgustingly hard to kill just because they have so much empty space in them. So, let's go ahead and move ourselves over to here. Right. Still not sure why I only get visual track on that one. I guess it's just because my radar Yeah, it's my radar panels are out. That's why. All right, so we're going to try and get our gun and drive back online since engines are important. And yeah. Now, with that being said and done, we're basically going to move in for the kill since these ships seem to be kind of crippled. So, yeah. Focus fire on one of them here. 2v6, I like those odds. Yeah, I can take them. In this case, my ship got hit pretty hard, so I've got a lot of redded out components here. But luckily enough, the ship is still intact that I can give a fight. Oh, sorry, boom lover. So one of their players has just thrown in the towel, which is good for us. It's now a 5 versus 4. We'll lock target on this one since I have a better shot at hitting it, apparently. And it's also looking towards me, which I don't like. So we're going to move ourselves around here. Right. Gonna make sure I've got my heading set towards the enemy, trying to tank as best as I can with the bow. We see these casemate guns. The ship is trying to rotate itself so they can get a salvo into me, but I'm guessing by the amount of fire that's taken, it's not feeling very good. In fact, you can see it over-rotating now, so its guns have been knocked out and it's trying to return to its neutral position. We're just going to keep shooting them. In this case, this one up here, you can see that its drive appears to have been taken out, so I'm going to just keep firing. The drive is required to move. Seems like a space world of warships without RNG one-shots. A little bit. It's a fleet commander, and I'm just playing a pair of heavy cruisers right now. There's a lot of rock, paper, scissors in the game, depending on which ships you have in your fleet and what you're trying to do. In my case, I just elected to go with the biggest guns I could readily field, and then all the ammo elevators to make them fire faster. So, you can see these ships taking a bunch of fire, and their drive has also been knocked out. This is the important factor of the 450 guns. They are very strong against other big ships like this. In this case, they have 450 casemates versus my 450 turrets. So you can see them still insisting on trying to shoot me, which is really rather rude. I do wish that I had something to hit them with, but as it currently stands, I think that I'm okay. So, yeah. I'm going to focus on trying to get these kills here and then maybe go for the A point. I don't know exactly where their... there's their rail fleet. You can see that. So I'm going to signal an attack order here. Rails on ping. And go from there. Without the RNG one-shot except Heckbees. Yes. Heckbees are a type of missile which is pretty much the closest thing you can get to throwing a dart down somebody's nose. If you're very lucky, you'll hit the nose of the ship and gut it stem to stern. But getting that exact angle can be very difficult. And sometimes the missile will just decide that it doesn't want to line up that day and you get bad luck. They're also very expensive. I say no jam, sorry. Oop, actually, that is in gun range. So we are going to very quickly rotate over to here. Because enemy ship good. In this case, this ship has been killed. We can tell by the space oil pouring out of it. We're going to quickly fire on this one. Issuing fire orders to both of my ships. Yeah, we'll see where we go from here. We are currently winning our fight here, but at the same time, we're also losing a bit on the map. You can tell by the capture points. You see they swung around our backside here with a nasty, nasty fleet and have captured our natural territory. So we're going to have to capture some of their stuff, and hopefully we'll close this out with a full cap. Yeah. Let's just issue fire order on you, and hope for the best. See, they are powered down because the lights have turned from blue to a orange color, and their drives are out. So, with any luck, yeah, there we go. We're going to order a ceasefire here, since that ship has just been knocked out. Heck P is like a big spear gun. Yeah, it's basically a rocket-powered spear that pierces through these enemy ships. When it hits, that is. It's difficult to reliably get Heck Ps to hit. They are notorious for being a temperamental missile. Alright, so I'm a little close to their ships, and I have put a lot of rounds in them. I'm hoping that none of their ships are going to explode, because that would be bad. See, we've got a lock on a target here, so we're going to do that. Prefer the bulk freighter here, since I have the better odds at knocking out one of its big reactors, since mass drivers take a lot of power. In this case, I've taken out 2 bulk freighters, which is about 1,000 points each. So I've done pretty well here in this fight. Yeah. Going to maneuver myself back down to the A point here as best I can. I'm using the tactical view here, since I can see the asteroid a bit better. And yeah, with any luck, we'll be able to cap that for our team. So we can see here the ship name. We have the track identified, the fleet prefix, and the name of it, and the class, which is bulk freighter. Unfortunately, we're blocked by the enemy ship here, but that'll be out of the way in a second. You can still see we are taking a little bit of fire from one of those tugs, which is just being annoying. Oh, that's actually rather annoying. He's just perfectly managed to hit my belly gun, which means I don't actually have any more restores for it. It is rather annoying. While your Axer does not carry any rear weapons, cost. This fleet is, they're about 1,500 points each. I have a size 1 missile launcher to deal with shuttles, which I did earlier, and I just didn't really have the points in place to put a small gun on there. I've thought about putting a 250 turret on the back before, but I just haven't run it in this variant.
Aye, aye.
The idea of these Axfords is also that you can keep your nose towards the enemy and then just maximize all of your firepower there, while also minimizing incoming damage because, as you see, very small forward-facing profile.
Orders.
Alright. So, we can see another bulk freighter lining up to shoot at us, so we're going to shoot at it. There we go. Yeah. Next, because we need to get onto the point, I'm going to set my ships to flank speed so that they go fast. And yeah. Order the heading to be a little bit below the enemy.
Aye, aye, Commander.
And hope for the best here. In this case, hitting these bulk freighters, I'm very likely to hit a reactor or a space Yamato when there is sort of the equivalent to that. The battleship is a very big lunk of metal, which is very good at spewing guns, much like the Yamato. But in this case, I've elected to go with a pair of cruisers. I just kind of prefer the mobility given by them. Personally, I don't like battleships. They just feel a little bit too slow and clunky for me, but that's just also my opinion.
Acknowledged.
In this case, we're going to switch fire back onto that one that has managed to get its guns back online and go from there. Dual Solomon. It is technically possible. I have seen 1,500 point Solomons. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying that I've seen them.
Receiving. Solution locked in.
So we're going to attempt to lock onto you here, and you're going to lock onto you. And we're going to just quickly transfer our fire order as much as we can. Yeah.
Aye, aye, Commander.
With any luck, we're getting some hits here. I think my gun plotting centers were taken out, so my guns are a little less accurate now. Blue likes being able to move and react again, pound in the ass. Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful summary, Simo. Go to Honey Jail. Bonk.
Reporting.
So, you can see we're struggling to keep them on radar because of the limited ranges we have. Odd. This is our spyglass. We should be able to see them without issue. I wonder if I'm being jammed.
Reporting.
I would normally see a indicator for that, but maybe it's just bad radar panel angles. Yeah, my top radars are offline, that's why.
We're reading you.
So we just need to reorient ourselves. So,
Understood.
getting the radar panel shot off is a rather annoying occurrence, which happens a lot for ANS. Let's just move ourselves into the point here. I can slow down you from flank speed because I don't need to be zooming anymore. Enemy has almost capped out the map, but we're also doing a pretty good job keeping the arm's length. While they are getting some hits on us here and there, we are managing to hold them for the moment. And yeah, we're going to have to book it down to the E point, unfortunately, because they have some cap ships going for it, and we don't really have anything that can contest that. Fortunately, my guns are not of the right size to effectively hit those.
We're reading you.
Oh no, I'm in horny jail. Where did all these cat boys come from? Well, I don't know about that.
Receiving.
Alright. Now, unfortunately, I only have my top gun with its 2 barrels, as opposed to the bottom gun with its 3 barrels. So, really, I'm firing only 2 out of my 5 turrets right now. Yes, Catford. No, this is the, if we take a look, we can see its name here, the Axe Evasion. And this is the Axe Fraud, which are my Axe Frauds. I'm just going to try and shoot at this. So, unfortunately, our teammate Mungo has been mostly knocked out of the game. You can see them here trying their best to take on what is a massive bulkers. We see 3 bulk freighters here, along with a 4th, I believe. So that is a lot of mass to have to deal with. Mass drivers are a good support weapon, but yeah. Game seems to be cap lose. Yep, unfortunately, I think we fell behind a little bit on the cap game. I tried to push aggressively to the A point, but then got tied up fighting, and they took a little bit too much time to, well, die. So, most likely they're going to cap out on us, but at the same time, we gave them a good fight, so I'm pretty satisfied with it. Let's see, those are a pair of shuttles that I unfortunately can't take out. Gonna issue fire orders where I can here. On you and you. There we go. They're in lock range now, so we can actually hit them a little bit. Yeah, fire for effect. Take a little sip of water while we are waiting. There we go. As you can see, we keep losing and gaining the lock because our radar panels are all but completely shredded. You can see the red dotted line indicating such. The blue is the good hemispheres, or I guess it's not. Is it a hemisphere if it's only a quarter? I don't know the exact dimensions of that, but either way, we're going to issue a lock order onto these targets here. Hopefully, one of them will be able to lock the target. Unfortunately, we've lost our bullseye radar on both of our ships, so we'll have to fix that, along with a bunch of our other important bits.
Receiving. Negative, Commander. Unable.
So, looking like it's going to be GG on caps here, so we'll just go ahead and type out a little GG and just drag this out for the last few minutes we can get. I'll see if I can't rack up a little more. Did you misspell a cardboard, or am I reading it since I'm European? I think you're European. I am a cat boy, and I know how to spell. My crayon kit even says so. Learn to spell in 5 minutes.
Too far. Yeah,
Issue fire order on this one.
Orders.
Unfortunately, you can see the mass drivers coming by and doing decent damage to us. Luckily, I have enough damage reduction that mass drivers can't actually knock out most of my weapon systems. Yep. I went to cat college. That is true. I graduated with fur honors.
We're standing by.
Can this big brain cat boy tell him what it means? It means this space for rent.
Orders. Negative. Too far.
Try and issue another fire order, if you wouldn't mind.
Standing by.
If, you know, continue firing.
Standing by.
All right. Let's shoot at the one we can see then.
Solution. Cannot comply.
They repair that bullseye soon. Just a table with a glass of water on it. Well, I can tell you right now that glass of water is not on the table anymore.
Component repaired.
If any of you would like to volunteer to come clean up the mess so I can make another one, please say so.
Receiving.
We are securing zone dagger.
We're standing by.
Issue flank here. So they're about to win on the cap points, but if we had a little more time, we might be able to win this just by the brawl. So, see, I lost track of them there, so I'm going to have to change my angling of my nose so I get the radar panels in the right spot. Trying to do that now. Okay, that is... Where are you shooting me from? Probably that tug from earlier that ran off.
We're reading you.
Enemy is securing zone Atlas.
There we go.
0 a minute.
Now we've got a lock. Fire!
Eyes on.
Set our heading towards them to try and mitigate incoming fire.
Aye, aye.
As best as we can anyways. Rails just kind of punch through all of your armor, so there's not really much you can do about it. In that case, that's the battle over, so we'll just go to the post-game screen and see how we did.
We need repair team stat.
Just give one last GG here, so we can see our teammates did a little bit of damage. See our missile ship here. Yeah, they did only about 11k for a 3,000 point missile ship, so sometimes that can happen. You just get bad luck trying to hit certain things, or you get flanked and punished. In our case, we see our rail ships. Because they're rail ships, I don't judge them by their actual damage dealt. The railgun is really good at inflicting critical hits, which means they've got a bunch of fires or other debuffs. In our case, we see our fleet combined did about 22,000 damage, so the Axe Fraud definitely pulled its weight, but the activation fell behind, probably because its gun got taken out in the early parts of the fight. Yeah. You see the Totem over here, very similar ship in the case that they've got a bunch of guns and beams and stuff and are looking to get in a nice big brawl. So yeah. I believe I was against... Yeah, this looks right. I think I was taking on these pair here, so... You can also tell a little bit by the emblems and logo colors and stuff, so yeah. There was the, let's see, here's the Acello with its railguns and some of the mass drivers, which did a little bit. I think the big win for them was really on the, yeah, you see here a big fleet full of shuttles. Sometimes going cheap and wide is the way to play. Then there was those 4 bulk freighters that we saw had come around and absolutely shredded them, so. Yeah. Overall, it was a interesting little match, so yeah, we're gonna exit out and take a look at another one if we can. So we see here a Pillars game. We're going to see if there's a slot open. Fortunately, there's not. So I was hoping to get one more game in that I can comment first person. Actually, tell you what. Since this seems to be a game of some people we've seen before, I'm going to ready up as spectator, and I'll do some commentary on this one. Mind if I stream... Gonna be nice and ask them. In this case, because Nerf Rail Cello seems to matter, I don't want to stream a game if somebody doesn't want to be in it, so in this case I'm just going to tap out real quick. Go and look for another lobby we can hop into. So you see some games, there's a couple modded ones, some that have bots. There's a space zombie removal, which is a custom mode if I remember right. This is Killboard, the competitor server. Instead, we're just going to go on to, I think, the official server. So this is for US West, and this is for US East. This is on Canyon, which is the map I don't really like, and this is on Aorta. So we're going to try and hop in here and see if we can get one more match in. In this case, I'm going to join the other team. We'll load up the mods real quick. Loading mods is very easy. You see we have a custom map Aorta, and we're going to load up one of our OSP fleets. In this case, I think I'm going to go with some bulk freighters. So let's go with Broadside 250 version 4. And yeah. Oh, we see Andware here joining in with us. So, yeah. Hello. 20 players. Yep. There is the ability, I think, to support up to about 100 players maximum. I don't think I've ever seen 100 players in a game. Getting 20 people together in a Neb match is incredibly busy because already a 5v5 tends to get a little bit chugging sometimes, depending entirely on hardware. Keep in mind, I am streaming this, so I've got a little bit of a frame rate tax for that. But yeah. Yep, Nebulous is not the biggest game in terms of population, but it's pretty easy to find a match. The Discord is very helpful if you want to just throw a looking for game call in there. People will typically boot up. 1k max on OSP drop. Yeah, 1k fleets are interesting. It means typically you're only going to be running a, say, 3 ships or so at max. I guess you can maybe squeak out 4 if you want to be really cheap, but 1k fleets are an interesting thing. I personally don't play much of them. I enjoy 3k because it feels just right for the amount of ship that you can get. If you tried to, say, play a battleship in a 1k, well, the hull for the battleship costs 1,000 points alone, not counting anything else you're going to put on it, so. Play 3 Axford, it's totally meta. Yeah, I don't really feel like playing 3 Axfords. I've seen people do it before. It requires you to run them basically naked, which I don't really like doing. I much prefer my ships to have actual stuff in them than to be completely naked, especially if it's something I intend to use for gun combat. Yes, Doc Vivi. Neb is not one of the biggest games, but it is a game with a nice dedicated community. So, I think Doc Vivi might be streaming later, so we might go say hi to her then. You notice my mouth moving is because I've got myself a little bowl of num-nums here. These are my num-nums. Technically, they were yours, but I stole them from your closet, so. Tasty. Nom. Oh dear. Chat, my food dish is empty. I need you to fill it up for me. Then shake it around ever so slightly. Oh, are they? Oh, well. I see. Yes, bad streamer indeed. Yes, very bad. Much worse. Terrible. Unacceptable. Can't be streaming. Yep. Oh. Pipe bomb the mailbox? Oh, wow. I mean, I did go shopping the other day and I did get more pipe bombs, so I might have to consider that. In this case, we'll just wait for the server to fill up. It shouldn't take too long. Typically, when people see that a lobby has a couple players sitting in it, they'll hop in, but as we've seen tonight, it takes just a little bit of time. Pipe bomb emote when? I have to get to affiliate first before I'm able to unlock emotes and channel points and the like, so that'll be probably in about a week or so. I need to stream for at least 7 days and hit 50 followers, which is our current milestone, so yeah. We're making our way there. Seems to be taking a minute to load up, so I'm just gonna hop out and check if there's another server that has people in it or not. 3K pillars. Seemed we were in the right place, so I guess we'll just have to wait a little longer. In this case, I've got my OSP fleet loaded up, which is so 27 more. Hey, if you want to start streaming and you want to get some followers, go for it. In this case, my fleet here is a broadside 250 casemate. So the sort of smaller guns here, these are much better against small ones. Sealing my stream section. Baby, get out of here. You harassed me enough, cat girl. Yeah! Anyways, though. Tell you what, actually, then. Let me see. Vivi, you said you were live, weren't you? You go take a look. Mute her stream real quick. Oh, yeah. Hey, tell you what, since Vivi's live and on test server, chat, let's hop over and raid her so we can get some Nebulous games together. I might have time for one more. I have to go at 8 p.m. Eastern today, so yeah, I'm just going to set a channel raid real quick onto Vivi, and we'll go from there. And with that, we'll combine the streams. I might pop into her Discord and play a little bit, and we can have some fun together. Yeah. Let's head over.